Hello and welcome. Good evening. DG Trivandrum is proud to present today's program, Digital Mathematics Going Beyond the Screen by Ms. Jacky Herman. GEGs are independently run communities of educators who share, inspire, and empower each other to meet the needs of students through technology. GEG provide a platform for anyone passionate about education and technology to meet like-minded people and share, learn, and collaborate together with them. GEG is a global organization promoted by Google. In India, there are over 20 GEG chapters. All programs conducted by GEG are free for everyone. GEGs help educators with learning programs, especially to clear Google Educator certification exams. We welcome you all to join us and be part of GEG family. Follow us in Twitter handle @GEGTVM. And about our guest speaker today, Ms. Jacky Herman is educational advisor in Matific. Jacky spent 28 years educating students in Australian primary schools in all grades from kindergarten to year 6. In her current role at Matific, she has visited hundreds of schools across Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, introducing them to Matific and providing professional mathematics training. Jacky's aim is to both provide teachers with the tools and confidence to teach mathematics with passion and foster a love of mathematics in students. This will undoubtedly result in capable, free-thinking students who are willing to take risks and explore new concepts. I welcome Jacky to take the show. Welcome.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hello, everybody. My name's Jacky, and I'm coming to you from Sydney, Australia. So, good evening, because it is nighttime over here. I will just explain my background. You heard a little bit of it there. So, yes, I was a primary school teacher for a very long time, about 28 years in schools around Sydney. And then about 6.5 years ago, I entered the amazing world of digital mathematics and joined Matific. Been to hundreds of schools in the last few years. Unfortunately, with COVID, I don't get to travel to so many schools. It's mostly using digital technology that I can train teachers and show them all about digital mathematics these days. Hopefully, I can travel soon. I went over to Delhi a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, and made a presentation at the World Summit, the Education Summit over there. That was very exciting. Anyway, so that's a bit of my background. And I'll also just mention that I do love cricket. And as I look out my window right now, I can see the lights of the Sydney Cricket Ground because Australia's playing Sri Lanka in a 2020, and I'm giving all of that up for you guys tonight. But it's my pleasure to be here. So now I'm just checking, can you see my screen? That says digital mathematics going beyond the screen. There it is. Now, there's a good reason why I have given it that title. I'll get into that a little bit later. So let's make a start. This is our agenda. We've got a lot to get through. My presentation should be around 40 minutes or so, and we've got a lot to get through. I do want to talk generally about mathematics and students and why there's so much anxiety out there. And I have seen anxiety in teachers as well. It's not just in students. We'll talk more about that. Can digital help with that anxiety? And also this debate that's raging really since we've often had to do remote teaching during the pandemic. There's been a lot of talk about digital versus hands-on. So we'll cover that too. I want to really focus a lot tonight on connecting digital resources with the rest of your mathematics program and give you some practical ideas on that too. And also a little bit about how you can tailor it to your local curriculum and language. So are you ready? Let's go. Okay, let's think about this. Now, you might want to write your response in the comment box for this. Have a think about it. Imagine you're looking at all of your students. I don't know whether you're teaching remotely at the moment or whether your students are with you. But try and picture your students with you in the classroom. How do they react when you say this to them? Let's do maths, or it's time for maths. You're probably going to get a variety of looks on their faces and a variety of responses. So I want you to think about that. What percentage would you say are, yeah, thumbs up, happy, they're excited to do mathematics? Or how many do you think look a little bit sad and anxious about it? Maybe pop your response in the comment box and see if, is it 50-50? Is it 80-20, 80% are happy, 20% are not happy? What's the split? 60-40, 50-50? Give me a rough idea of how your students are feeling about mathematics at the moment, and we'll all see your responses in the comment box. The reason that I bring this up is because there was recently a study in Australia across many, many Australian schools, and it showed that 1 in 4 Australian students who are in year 4, so we're talking about maybe 10-year-olds, year 4, already say they do not like maths. They don't like mathematics. And this is in year 4. So we've already lost them at age 10. That's a worry to think that 25% of the students already don't like maths. I'm wondering if many of you, I can see Padma there said 75 happy, 25 sad. That's pretty much in line with this study, isn't it? It's actually very similar. Sasmita said the same thing. Now, the trouble that I have with this is that you might at a glance think, okay, well, 75% are happy. That's good. Not good when they're only 10, because that 25%, we've lost them. They're not going to suddenly like mathematics when they get older. If they don't like it when they're young, they're not likely to like mathematics when it gets more abstract, more complex. We've probably lost them. And if you think about it, a lot of children today, many of your students today are going to want to work in a STEM career in the future. They might want to go into university and work in the areas of STEM, so science or technology or engineering and so on. The M in STEM is maths. If they don't have the mathematics skills, they won't be able to progress and work in technology or engineering or science. They need a strong foundation in maths. So if we've already lost them, 25% of them when they're 10 years old, that's a problem when we move forward, because that number will grow, and we don't want that number to grow. So it's extremely important we foster a love of mathematics in young students. So thank you for sharing. Many of you have shared your thoughts on your class. So thank you for doing that. Now, here's my theory as to why some students don't like mathematics when they're young. This is my theory. I think there are 3 main reasons. The first one is it's boring. If you ask a student, why don't you like mathematics? Many of them will say it's boring. Now, I believe these are the reasons why they might say that. Still too many worksheets. I know in Australia, it might be true for you, I don't know, lots of photocopying still going on, handing out worksheets. Excuse me. That's not much fun. I'm not saying to you never do worksheets. I'm just thinking, I think there's still a lot of worksheets and textbooks being used, and it's very black and white. It's not very inspiring. Now, another reason why I think they say it's boring, and I was guilty of this in the classroom sometimes, I must admit, too much teacher talk. In mathematics, it's very tempting to just show children the method, the procedure. And the reason why it's so tempting is to save time, basically, because we kind of feel like, let's just show them how to get the answer, give them the formula to get the answer, and then we can move on. We have a lot to get through in the curriculum, haven't we? And we don't have a lot of time in the classroom with our students. So it's very tempting to show them the fast way. Now, the problem with all this teacher talk, yes, it can be boring and students can lose concentration and drift away, but also they're not getting that depth of understanding. They might learn the method, but will they retain it? And when things become more abstract when they move into high school, they won't have that depth of understanding. So there's a lot of problems with too much teacher talk. Another reason that you'll hear from students why they don't like mathematics, I just don't understand it. In your classroom, you've probably got many types of different learners. There's going to be visual learners, auditory learners, hands-on learners, all different types of learners. And the way you teach, different styles will resonate with different students. That's hard. So not only do you have a classroom that probably has a range of abilities in it, you've probably got a range of different types of learners. And you've got to cater for all of them. That's hard, isn't it? Now, the best advice I can give you with this is to use a variety of methods and a variety of resources. Because we've all seen it where a child might be struggling with a concept, but then when you explain it in a different way, or you have it, you show it, display it in a different way, suddenly the light bulb goes off. And that can happen, and it's wonderful when that happens, isn't it? So what works for one student might not work for another. So, the worksheet might work for some students, but others might need a digital resource, or others might need guidance from the teacher and a demonstration. Just try to use a wide variety from your toolkit. Use as many methods as you can. And the last one, I think, the other reason why some students already don't like it when they're maybe only 9 or 10 years old, I'm scared of making mistakes. And that is so sad that they're already stressed about their scores. And the reason for that, I believe, is that maths is often seen as a very black and white subject. You're either right or you're wrong, and here's your score. Teachers are doing a lot of testing. There is a lot of pressure on teachers to give students a grade on their report card, and we want to have that data to back it up. But I'm worried that sometimes we do too much testing, and not enough teaching and learning. And maths is a journey. Sometimes it's not just about the end answer, it's the method and the strategies the students are using. And we should be rewarding students for their efforts. We do it in high school. Do you remember in high school with those complex problems and you have to show lots of working out? And even if you get the end answer wrong, you still got some points if you did some good working out along the way. I don't think we do that enough in primary school. I think we're doing too much, yes, you're right, or no, you're wrong. So definitely get students to show their thinking and understand mistakes are okay. It happens. It's been proven that if a child makes an error and then they refocus, relearn it, and try again and get it right, they're much more likely to retain that knowledge. If they made an error first and then learned a different way, they're more likely to retain it than the one that got it right first go. They might forget it later. So anyway, mistakes happen and it's okay, and don't panic about it, and let's do a little bit less testing. We should be doing more formative tests rather than the summative tests at the end. Okay, let's move along. What have we got next? Now, talking about maths anxiety, and as I said, it's not just in students, it's in teachers as well. Can digital help? Can using a digital resource help with maths anxiety? Well, the short answer is yes, because we know students love using technology, don't they? But I've definitely got a but here, not if it looks like this. Now, even in 2022, there's a lot of online resources that still look a bit like a worksheet on a screen. They're not really doing much more than that worksheet or textbook that I showed you before. It's just question, answer. It'll give them a tick or a cross and a score. The advantage for a teacher is that it marks it for you and you'll have that data, but it's not really doing anything more for the students than what a textbook or a worksheet could do. So I urge you, if you are using technology, if your students have access to computers, to laptops, to Chromebooks, to an iPad, whatever device they're using, take a look at it. What are they doing on their screens? Because screen time is really important. Which brings me to what I mentioned before. I've called this presentation, Going Beyond the Screen, because I worry, and I've seen it in all the schools and all of my travels in the last few years, I worry that teachers have access to online mathematics or digital mathematics, and they're using it, but they're not using it well. They're basically just getting the children to go on the device, and that keeps them busy for a while. And they're not matching their digital with the rest of their program. So I'm pretty passionate about that. So that's why I'm calling it going beyond the screen. And you're going to be given some examples of how to do that. Now, a few years ago, I did the Harvard course, Harvard Online, and it's called Teaching for Understanding. All about what I was talking about before, that students need a depth of understanding of concepts, that deep conceptual understanding when they're young, and that will help them when they move along. Now, you probably have heard of Jean Piaget, so a very well-known child psychologist with very much a focus on education. A quote from him: "Every time we teach a child something, we keep him from inventing it himself." Think about that for a moment. It's all about, there's Jean Piaget there, it's all about discovery. Students don't need to just be shown how to get to the answer. They need to actually learn it for themselves. Why does something work? Why does it work? I'll give you a really good example. If you were teaching area, we know the formula for area is length times width. Sometimes we call it length times breadth. We can just tell a child that. Just measure it. 6 centimeters by 4 centimeters, that's 24 centimeters is the area. But do they understand why? Why does that work? So they need to do some hands-on fiddling around and explore that concept so they actually get it, so they understand why that works. Another quote from Piaget: "Play is the answer to how anything new comes about." Just something to think about. All right, let's move on. I told you we were going to talk about this, the digital versus hands-on debate. Now, during the pandemic, obviously, I'm with Mathific, a digital resource, and obviously we've been swamped in the last couple of years, millions of users around the world, particularly during the pandemic. Now, it's interesting, on an odd occasion, just occasionally, we get some schools, when they go back to face-to-face teaching, say, "Oh, we won't use it anymore. We don't want to keep using screens because they used it a lot at home. So now we'll go back to hands-on because we're back at school." And I think, if you've been using something that the students love and they've been engaging in mathematics in a positive way, don't dump it, keep using it. But what I will say is this: in this debate about digital versus hands-on, why not both? That's what I've been telling and advising schools everywhere I go. It shouldn't be either or. Okay, and if you've got a good resource, like Matific, if you've got a good digital resource, then you can be making connections between the hands-on activities, the digital activities, and everything else that you're doing in mathematics. It shouldn't just be, a lot of people think of digital maths in isolation. Okay, or just use it for homework, or we just use it once a week in the computer lab, or we just use it when the teacher needs a rest. I haven't forgotten how tiring teaching is. I get it. I understand. But I think a lot of teachers do use digital in that way. They're on their iPads. That'll keep them busy for half an hour. I can breathe. I can have a rest. And you could use Matific or a really good resource in that way too. There's no doubt about it. But what I want to focus on today is going beyond that. Screen time is precious because, as I've said, during the pandemic, children around the world have spent a lot of time on their screens. So you want to really maximize that. All right, let's move along. And here's some examples of how we can make the most of digital. But I actually also wanted to point out, like I was saying, you should be making connections between your digital resource and everything you do in maths, your hands-on work, your class discussions, assessments, obviously, homework, written tasks, problem solving is a biggie. The reason why I say it's a biggie, problem solving can be a problem. I actually did a webinar recently about that, the problem with problem solving. It's time consuming for teachers to create really rich problem solving tasks, isn't it? It's hard work, but that's where digital can do it for you. So really everything you do in mathematics, the digital can have input into that. I'm not suggesting all you need is digital maths, but what I'm saying is there's a lot more you can do with it than just fill in half an hour or fill in some time. You really can connect it to the rest of your program. I'll show you how. Now, this is an example from Matific. I'm going to show you, I'll just pause that for a moment. This is a video example of one of our activities. We call them episodes. There's thousands of these. Now, normally the student would be using it live, and it's interactive, and they would be maneuvering the objects around. But I've just done little video snippets just to show you what it's like. So this one is for young children, and it's about halves. The question is saying divide the fruit amongst the monsters according to their requests. So let's play on. So he wants half of the oranges, that monster there, and the other one wants one orange. And so the child maneuvers the objects, they're oranges on this occasion, and maneuvers them around. Let's keep having a look at this one. This is interesting now when it gets to the strawberries. I want half the strawberries, says that monster, and the other one wants half. Now this child is going, one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. Notice there were 8 strawberries altogether. Now, there are 8 strawberries. If you can watch a student attempt a question like that, you learn a lot about that student. I know that half of 8's 4. I didn't need to go one for you, one for you. I would have just given 4 to one of the monsters and 4 to the other monster. Easy. So if you watch your students, you can learn at what level what developmental stage they're at by watching them attempt that question. All right, very interesting watching them. Now, if you've got a screen in your room, in your classroom, what a great discussion starter. You can pop it up on the screen and do it as a shared lesson initially. And then if you have devices, the students can go on their devices. If you're working remotely, you could, like we're doing now, go on whatever program you're using to share with your classroom, Google Classroom, whatever it might be. Share the video or do the activity live with them, and then the students can do it themselves. But going beyond the screen, this activity I came up with, it makes me almost want to be teaching again, almost, because I think it sounds like fun. So you could create, if you're in the classroom with your students, pretend that the students are in a restaurant. You could welcome them into the classroom. You know how the waiters put the serviette or the tea towel over their arm, I should say, and welcome all the students. You could have tablecloths on the tables and have your paper plates and everything, and make it fun that the children feel like they're going into a restaurant. And then, of course, with those paper plates, there would be cut out pieces of food all around. So you could give instructions, sit in pairs. So you've got one tables with just sitting in pairs, and the teacher needs to provide instructions on how to share the food. It might be everybody has an equal share. Can everybody have half of the potatoes? All right, what about the person on this side of the table has a quarter of the potatoes? And this, you can imagine, you make up different possibilities. Lots of fun, but a really good way. It's actually about fractions, so it's a really good fractions lesson. Might be for, say, year 1 or year 2 or something like that would be a really good one. And as an assessment task, you can have them draw this. I was talking about too much testing before, but I like the idea of doing these formative tests. So along the way, you could say, all right, now that we've done this activity, could you draw it? Draw yourself with another person having dinner, and I want you to show me an equal amount of food on each plate. And there's a fun little activity that they could draw that, and you've got an assessment there, an active assessment that you can look at and see whether they've grasped this concept. So the order of events for me, I like to do it this way. I like the digital first, maybe as a demonstration, then they can do it individually or in pairs. It works as well, especially if you don't have enough devices. Pairs or small groups is fine. Then do a hands-on fun activity, and then you also give them a bit of an assessment task along the way. And that works really well. If you've got any comments to make along the way, please share. You've got the comment box there, so please make any comments or questions along the way. All right, let's do another one. Now, I love this as a demonstration tool. Watch this activity here. So this is another fractions one. Make a necklace so exactly a quarter of the beads are round. I'm going to just stop that there. If I had a student demonstrate this to the class and they came and made that necklace, I would say to them, before you click done, tell me, why did you put 4 beads on the string? Hopefully their answer is because the denominator says 4. Why did you make one of them round? Hopefully it's because the numerator said there should be 1. Does it have to be 4 beads? Is there another amount of beads that I could put on that string? What if I put 12 beads? Then you're starting to get into factors and more. So it really, you can expand on it however you like. So I'll just keep playing that little video. The nice thing too, this all of our Matific activities here, if they get it wrong, we were talking about anxiety. If they get it wrong, there's no red cross. They don't get a big red cross. They just get a little jiggle, and it's like, oops, and they can try again. And if they need it, they get help. So there's scaffolding built in that will actually help them and guide them to get the right answer. Parents love that because if you're using, if you wanted to give digital maths for homework, or if you're doing remote learning at the moment, so the parents struggle with teaching some of these concepts. But it's something, if you've got a good resource like Matific, that where the scaffolding is built in and the guidance is built in, the students are independent. They can work independently. They're being taught as they go. All right, so I'm going to show you a bit of an assessment task that I could match up with this, and you're going to laugh. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. I'm going to suggest, and you could do this once again in the classroom, or if they were working at home, make a necklace. All right, so the task is make a necklace and write a sentence to explain the fraction. What a simple task. Okay, that's what they have to do, is make a necklace. Are you ready to see my beautiful necklace? It's not this one. I should have worn it tonight. Are you ready? It's really beautiful. Ta-da! That's my beautiful necklace. Isn't it stunning? Don't you love it? Now, I used pasta. We happen to have some coloured pasta at home, so that made it nice and easy. But you could easily make some beads or paint the pasta. Children could use paper strips and turn them into circles and glue them. But the beauty of this one is it demonstrates whether a child understands fractions. So I wrote my necklace, excuse me, just have a little sip of my drink. I've been talking all day. My necklace is 2/5 red, kind of red, a bit pink, isn't it? So you can see there are 5 pieces of pasta and 2 are red. What a really nice, simple activity for students to do, and it's fun, but you are actually assessing them as you go. Here's a more complex activity. So this one, have you seen magic triangles before? They're a bit like doing Sudoku. So this one, it's saying, place the numbers so that the sum on every side is the same. And you might notice here, there's a little button there, and you can read the question aloud. So we don't want students stressed because the language isn't in their language, or that their comprehension skills are not good. So they too actually have the ability to read that out loud, which is great. So, and it's very much, we talked about Piaget and about playing and discovery learning. That's exactly what this is. Because look, I'm struggling with this question. I can maneuver these numbers around and fiddle around with it and explore. It's very much inquiry-based learning, which is fantastic. That's exactly what students need. It's 2022. We can do so much better. We don't need to be doing worksheets on a screen. When you've got the technology that can enable this kind of learning, this is what we need. So there's my little triangle activity. Now, how could you match that up? Well, you could easily do a hands-on activity that matches this. So you could have triangles on a piece of paper, give the students the 6 little pieces of cardboard and tell them to write the numbers from 0 to 20 on them. I don't know if you know what blue tack is, but put a bit of glue or blue tack on them so they can stick their triangle, the little squares around the triangle. And basically you can give them a total to make. And if they're working from home, so that's why I'm saying this works in class or for remote learning. If they're working from home, get them to take a photo of it and they can send it to you, email it to you, whatever method you use. You can even video it if you like. So this is wonderful how, once again, my suggestion is how you do the digital first. Start as a demonstration, so they're very familiar with the activity. Let them do it themselves if they've got their devices, that's great, or they can do it in pairs. It's lovely in pairs. There are often multiple solutions, so that's really nice about Mathific. You can work in pairs, that's great. And then give them a hands-on activity. And they could do it with a friend. They could quiz. They could make their own triangles and say, you have to, and swap. and say your total has to be 14, your total has to be 18, whatever, and you can quiz a friend. Now, you might be thinking, how do I come up with all of these ideas? Sometimes they're mine and sometimes I cheat. So on Matific, there are lesson plans. All right, so there's often ideas on those lesson plans to help you go beyond the screen. It's up to you to what extent you want to use a resource like this. You can let the students work independently, or you can go beyond the screen and do these wonderful extra activities that match up with it. This is a really fascinating one. So this one here, what I say to people, don't be fooled by the pretty graphics. It looks like fun and it's cute, but the maths is actually very clever in these activities. I always say to adults, try it yourself and you'll see. So this time, the little ladybug is going to walk along this log and we're timing it. All right, so it took 8 seconds to cross and the ruler comes out. You can I'll just pause it again there. And this is where you need a good quality resource. So with Mathific, there are real world objects. So things and mathematical equipment. So like rulers, protractors, balance scales, money, all that kind of stuff that you would use in a maths lesson. So it feels very hands-on. So that ruler comes out and you get to measure that the log was 2 centimeters long and it took 8 seconds. So this is about proportion. How long is it going to take the ladybug to walk 4 centimeters? Have a think about that. If you've got the answer, put it in the comment box. If you want to think about it again, I'll go back. Let's have another think about this. If you've got the answer to this question, put it in the comment box. So the ladybug is walking across here and it takes 8 seconds and it travelled 2 centimeters. So the question is, how long will it take to travel on the long log? With a long log, when you measure it, you'll see in a moment when you measure it, it's 4 centimeters. Okay, so how long is it going to take? Now, there's more than one way to get the answer. If you've got the answer, put it in the comment box. Okay, I wonder who the first person will be to get the answer. Somebody's saying please answer. So it took 8 seconds to travel 2 centimeters. So how long to travel 4 centimeters? Well, this is how I would work it out. 4 is double 2. Padma's saying 16 seconds. 4 is double 2. What's double 18? Double 8, I should say. Let's see if that's right. Is it 16? Did Padma get it correct? Yes, it's 16. So the other way you could work that out is, and it's reminding children that a multiplication is the opposite of division. So I know that 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it takes 4 seconds for every centimetre. What's 4 times 4? 16. And this is where it's wonderful that there's multiple solutions. So if you can use it as a demonstration tool or work in pairs, it's lovely, because the light bulb moments, where the child thinks, I wasn't going to do it that way. I was going to do it another way, which is great. Well done to Padma, who got it correct the first go. When I do problem solving with students, and when you do it, just be careful with doing what I just did. I said, I wonder who'll be first to get the answer, which did inspire you to all write the answer. But in children, that can cause anxiety. We shouldn't always make it a race. We want children to actually take the time to think things through. So maybe be careful with putting that time pressure like I just did to you. But you're adults, you can take it. All right, so you could do an activity like this if you've got space outside, if there's a playground, or if children have a bit of space in the backyard or outside. Give them a distance that they have to measure, okay? Estimate for it. So the question is, how long will it take to run that distance? Estimate first. I love estimation, because estimation gives you a really good idea of whether a student understands a concept. So maybe it's the length of the cricket pitch, if you've got one. How long is it going to take to run that? And if a child writes 3 minutes and they're only running the cricket pitch, you think they haven't really grasped this topic. And then ask them questions like, how long would it take to do it twice? How long would it take to walk it? This is an advanced question. To walk it, if walking is a quarter of the speed of running. And then obviously you actually do time it, and it's fun. You time the children and they run that cricket pitch or wherever they're going to be running. What about if a friend takes twice as long as you? How long is it going to take him to run? Double the distance. You can create simple questions or more complex questions around that. Now, we spend a lot of time at my school discussing and learning about visible thinking. Visible thinking is really what we've been talking about. It's watching a student complete an activity and getting them to verbalize their thinking. So if you were able to watch them do this activity here, you could say, why are you doing that? And what makes you say that? What makes you say that is a really good question to ask. So in this activity, if you were watching them attempt it and they were struggling, it'd be interesting to see why they struggled. Maybe they didn't know how to use a ruler properly. Maybe they couldn't measure. Maybe they didn't know that inverse relationship between division and multiplication. That's a complex one as well. So it's very interesting if you get them to verbalize their thinking, write down some notes, and you'll have good comments for their reports. All right, let's move along. I think this might be our last one. This is a logic riddle. This is fun. Now, yes, there's a little bit of reading to do here. It's more of a bit of a word problem, but then it becomes very physical. Basically, these campers here have to get to the other side, but you can't have more than 150 kilograms in there. And someone's always got to sail the boat. So the trick is, how can you get them across and back? You can only ever have 2 at a time in the boat, no more than 150 kilograms. Isn't it clever? It's a really clever activity. The trick is you want to get there in the least number of steps possible. So this is the type of activity that you would want to do more than once, and the children can try and improve their score. And one thing I should mention too on Mathific is they get new questions every time. There's only 5 questions in an activity. It should only take them maybe 10 minutes or so to do an activity, which is a really good length of time for concentrating, to about 10 minutes, and then they get a break and before they move on to the next activity. But it's different questions every time. So the students find these fun and they don't mind doing them again because it's never boring. They're always getting a new set of questions, which is great. Once again, you could try and recreate this in your playground, in the garden, find a park, wherever you've got some space. Maybe have a pretend river. Put the students in teams. This is fun. And then they have to maybe have signs on them or whatever with what the weight is of their bag, and see if you can recreate it, and you can make a little competition in teams. Okay. Now, visible thinking tip. If you watch your teams in this little competition, who are the leaders in the group? Who are the bossy ones really getting things happening? And who are the ones who are quiet and sit back and don't participate? And then mix it up. Swap the groups around and see if that changes the dynamics. And sometimes you'll find the loud, bossy ones. Is it because they're good at maths, or is it just a personality thing? They're just loud and bossy. So it's really interesting watching those groups. Oh, I did want to show you one more activity because this is pretty awesome. This is a fantastic mathematical thinking and reasoning activity. Talk about inquiry-based learning, tipping and pouring the jugs, but notice the language. Mathific comes in over 40 languages because we're in about 120 countries. So there's about 40 languages or more now. And so you can change the language for each student or to suit the student. And that takes away that cultural bias. Because if you're using this as an assessment tool, you don't want the problem to be about they couldn't understand the question. That's not maths. That's an English problem or a comprehension skills problem. You want it to be about the maths. So it's really lovely. Just watch this activity again. It's so clever. You've got to get looks like 5. How do I get 5 litres of water into that 10-litre jug? And as I said, inquiry-based learning, there are probably multiple solutions. So it's all really nice to do it in pairs or as a demonstration. Watch the students and get them to verbalise their strategies and their thinking. And that's a great way to learn what level they're at, what strategies they're using. Now, also on Mathific, there's not just these beautiful interactive activities. You can get word problems. You can get them in other languages. And it's also mapped to the local curriculum. I mentioned we're in 120 countries, but every country has its own site and it's mapped to your local curriculum. What I wanted to say about this was, remember I said at the very beginning, you should be using a variety of tools. And that's what I like. I think Matific has the right balance because it's not just the fun interactive activities. There are also word problems and worksheets. So you've got lots of options. Well, thank you. I think we're on our 40 minutes. I think I managed to get through it all in our 40 minutes. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts too in that comment box as well. I really appreciate the active participation from everybody this evening. I'm sure you must be wonderful teachers out there because you made some wonderful comments. All right. Well, I think I'm done. So we probably need to hand you back to the host now as soon as you're ready. I can see there's some issues with a link there, so I'll have to get someone else there to sort that out. But thank you, everybody, for your time today.
Thank you, Jacky. Thank you. This was an amazing session. And I now invite Rajiv from Matific to have a few words about Matific. Rajiv, you're there? Rajiv? Your camera is off.
Okay. Yeah. Can I share my screen if you are okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, just let me share. Is my screen visible?
Yes, now.
All right. So, first of all, thank you, Afzal, for giving us an opportunity to, come and speak to all of your members about Matific. And I want to thank Jacky because I know it's pretty late there in Australia. I think it's probably past your bedtime. So I really, really appreciate you to come and speak to all of us over here in India, actually. So I will not take too much of your time. I will probably talk about, in general, about the Edtech ecosystem in India and what's happening from a content pedagogy technology standpoint of view, what people are doing to make sure that teachers, schools, parents are making the right decision actually. So I don't know how many of you have heard about this organization called Edtech Tulna. Edtech Tulna is an initiative by the government of India. It is currently run by IIT Bombay and Central Square Foundation. The idea is, how do somebody make a decision in terms of which edtech product to use? Just because you have a Bollywood star promoting your edtech product doesn't mean that the product has to be good actually. So what has happened is, over the course of last 6 months, there is a team of people in IIT Bombay who has set up a team to evaluate various products in the market so that all the stakeholders can make an informed decision actually. So in the last 6 months, they have evaluated mathematics as their first product. They have evaluated multiple products in India, and Mathific was one of the products which they have evaluated actually. Okay, and there are multiple selection criteria for that. The three common thing is content, pedagogy, and technology actually. And Mathific has won the highest recommendation under all the three category, under a category called personalized adaptive learning. So you can go to this website of Edtech Tulna. You can find all the Edtech products which they have evaluated, the evaluation criteria, and a very detailed report. So if any of you is considering using an Edtech product in your school, okay, and particularly for teaching primary grade mathematics, you can be assured that Matific will probably give you the best personalized adaptive learning experience for the kids in your class actually. With that, I just also want to touch up one point that Matific actually impacts learning. So what you see on the right hand side is our academic board. So our academic board consists of some of the well-known mathematicians and people who have worked on early childhood education. So we have every activity which you have seen today and which you can see in Matific platform has been vetted by these experts. Okay, and we have a very strong pedagogy. It's a 5-point pedagogy actually. And in fact, we have done a lot of interesting efficacy studies in India and outside India. And what we have seen is that there is an actual improvement of 34% from a math learning outcome standpoint of view, and also a likeness towards math as a subject actually. Okay, so to summarize, if any of you are looking to implement a digital math platform in your school or in your class, just reach out to us. We will get you a trial license. uh, Use it in your class. I mean, feel it for yourself how it can actually help you teach as well as impact the learning outcome of the students actually. So thank you once again, Google Education Group Trivandrum, Jacky, and all the participants who has come for this session. It was a great experience speaking to all of you. I wish you all of you a great weekend and the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. And there is a new link that I have pasted in the comment. Do fill it up. That's a Google form. Um you will be getting a participation certificate on this program, as well as a 14-day trial that Matific has offered us. So please feel free to fill in the form. Okay. Thank you, Jacky,
Uh,
and thank you, Rajiv, to give us the opportunity to have such a great program in our channel.
While you're sorting out those permission issues, I just wanted to say to you all as well. Remember, I talked about anxiety in students, and a lot of it is because they're worried about their score, and parents pressure them about their score as well. But I also know that there's anxiety sometimes in teachers when it comes to teaching maths, because primary school teachers are expected to do everything. You have to teach English and maths and science and art and music and all of those topics. So I know that for some people, maths might not be your thing, mightn't be your specialty. On Matific, there's help. Remember, I said to you there are lesson plans? So there's actually guidance for the teacher as well. So you can always have a read about that, and it will guide you on ways that you can, use the resource going beyond the screen and actually help you to teach those concepts. Because there's a lot of strategies in there, things like the split strategy, the jump strategy, and it helps not only the students, but it can also help the teachers and the parents how to teach those concepts as well. So how are we going with those permission issues?
It's almost done. Let me just post
Almost
it.
done. So hang in there, guys. You're nearly there. I really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate your time today because it's, late on a Friday and I know you're probably tired. It's the end of the week. That's very good of you all. Very conscientious of you all to join us tonight.
Okay. I have pasted the new link.
And
yeah. So
someone's just
Jackie,
asked, yeah,
yeah,
sorry,
that's a question
someone's
for
just asking. Someone's asking about tracking the progress of each child. Yes, there's a full reporting system. It's live, which is great if you're teaching remotely, that you can check on who's done what. And there's, yes, detailed reporting. You can look at how they're going by topic, or you can look at against your curriculum. You can see their results. So, and it's all downloadable onto an Excel spreadsheet. There's reports for parents as well that you can send home. Yeah, and there's a lovely reward system for the students. They get these avatar points and they can build their avatar the better they do. And yeah, it's lovely and very, very easy to differentiate. We talked before about having different types of learners, but you've also got a lot of learners working at different abilities in your class. So you can group your students, and you've got access to every year level. So if you were teaching year 3, you can also assign activities from a higher year level or a lower year level for certain students. So very easy to differentiate. These are all the things that where digital can help you. That's what a good digital resource should be able to do for you.
So I'll also add to that. Matific is aligned to all the curriculums in India. So it's aligned to CBSE, ICSE, IB, IGCSE. We also support a couple of state board. The good thing is that if you can also take activities from other curriculum if you want to use that for teaching a particular concept. Actually, so we don't close yourself to one particular curriculum. You will get access to multiple curriculum which you can use in the class.
Looks like the form's working now, so that's good, guys. Have
Yes.
another go at filling in that form.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us and filling up the form. Thank you, Jacky, and thank you, Rajiv.